Alright, we are live. You good?
Yeah, just making sure I'm still beautiful.
Hey,
Spoiler alert, I am.
Hi, Sisyphus, whatever you say.
Mm-hmm.
So, hey guys, this is Brad Mike from Dallas Geek, and if this is your first time checking us out, thanks for joining us. We are here on Facebook or YouTube, depending on where you actually are watching us. Either way, thanks again. And of course, we have new videos every Tuesday and Friday, and we go live usually 2 or 3 Saturdays a month.
Mm-hmm.
So, speaking of going live, what are we talking about today, Mike?
My new haircut?
I mean, yeah. Mine too.
I think mine was a little more drastic than yours, though. No, was it AnimeFest or A-Con? What was the last one?
AnimeFest.
AnimeFest, okay.
You missed A-Con.
Right, but I always confuse the two. Yeah,
trust me, the anime convention fans out there will get you for that one.
That's fine. They can string me up and do whatever they want.
They will.
Whatever.
Well, don't say that.
Just don't
say that.
Yeah, with that too. Yeah. just don't send me any nasty emails. I won't read them anyway. No, we're talking about AnimeFest. We're gonna give our review of it. Kind of talk about the fun little adventures that we had that weekend. Because it was my first time at AnimeFest. And that was different.
And that is kind of the thing. AnimeFest is, well, I mean, any anime convention is going to be different than most other conventions.
Right.
In a very specific way. However, before we get into that, just really quick, if you have not already, don't forget to like us on Facebook and like and subscribe on YouTube. We would really appreciate it, and that way you can make sure to keep up with all of our crazy, weird things that we do, the awesome people that we talk to, and of course all the really cool conventions that we get to go check out.
Heavy emphasis on the crazy and weird.
Between us, yeah.
Yeah.
A little bit. But, so, AnimeFest.
Yeah.
This was your first time to go.
It was my first time.
So, I guess...
They were not gentle.
I guess, when it comes to conventions, what has been your normal experience prior to AnimeFest?
Like in terms of the...
Just conventions in general.
So I guess the normal thing would be, I guess, your standard, like, your fan expos, your Dallas comic shows where, like, hey, this is when the doors open, this is when the doors close. Like, you have this kind of standard, this is where all of your meet and greets are going, this is where your vendors are, this is where your sellers are, this is like your artist alley. With Fan Expo, they did the new thing a couple years ago where they brought in the tattoo artist. That was a different little setup.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, for the most part, it was pretty standard fare, like...
Very vendor focused, very...
come in at this time, leave at this time. Here's kind of the stuff that you can do in between.
Everything is very preset and specific.
Yes.
It's traditional convention fare.
Right.
Yeah. Anime conventions are not that.
Oh, hell
and
no.
AnimeFest in particular really chooses to play a bit fast and loose with the format.
I've never been to a convention. I think you know where I'm about to go with this.
There are a few directions you could go with this, so please.
I've never been to a convention where they had a cardboard cutout of a human being that literally showed the parts of your body that had to be covered while you were there.
So is that better or worse than the big signs that say cosplay is not consent?
I don't know. That's the problem. The cosplay is not consent one hurts my soul a little bit because we have to have that conversation.
But at least it's going through and telling non-cosplayers, hey, don't do that. Don't be that guy.
This one literally said no side or under boob is permitted.
Shoes are necessary. Flip-flops bare
at a
minimum.
minimum. Yep. Yeah, in parentheses, flip-flops bare minimum.
Yeah. And then, of course, yeah.
I saw that and I was like, what the hell am I getting myself into this weekend?
I mean,
and then you saw some of the females that were walking around and what they were walking around in, and I was like, oh, that's why they have that sign. Okay.
Well, this is anime. You got to remember, if you're cosplaying most anime, you're already going to be in a very precarious territory.
There was a lot of skin.
Which, I mean, I don't.
A lot of skin.
That's not a bad thing.
A lot of short skirts.
For a convention owner who's trying to make at least part of the convention family friendly, it can definitely make it a very interesting situation.
Yes.
I think it's not necessarily the best way to go about handling it with a blue person to say, don't show this, but
especially since because you can be sued by Blue Man Group. Are we gonna get sued because we said their name?
Hey, Kyla. Hello. I like the cosplay is not consent. It's disconcerting that people have to be told. What isn't acceptable. Yeah.
I just say that we take those people out back and cut their hands off and call it a day.
I mean, that may be a little extreme.
When have you not known me to operate in the realm of extreme?
Yeah, but I mean, like, that may be, like, a bit too medieval extreme.
When have you not known me to operate in the realm of medieval extreme?
Anyway,
no.
So yeah, AnimeFest. If you've never been, AnimeFest is an experience where you get to go in and, yes, you have your vendor section. Yes, you have your Artist Alley, which, by the way, Artist Alley for AnimeFest proportionately is, I think, one of the bigger Artist Alleys in the conventions around here.
In terms of how much of the floor they took up?
In terms of how much of the overall convention space they took up.
Yes. Yeah,
I mean, yes, there are bigger Artist Alleys, but proportionately to the overall convention, it's not a bad allocation.
Yeah. Somebody agrees with me.
Yeah. No, Kyla, that's unfortunate that we have to even deal with, oh, this person was touched inappropriately, or this person was touched inappropriately at a convention. I mean, it sucks.
I think what Kyla just said, not to get off topic,
yes,
but is that I have been given carte blanche to carry a lightsaber and or machete with me anywhere I go.
I mean, no, lightsabers aren't real, right?
We've got a lot to talk about.
Anyway,
but to get back on topic,
yes.
Artist Alley, and there was some interesting stuff that you could buy at Artist Alley. A body pillow of a naked dude was one of them.
Not naked. He was in a skin tight outfit. There's a difference.
Cool. So naked.
Although there were naked female characters.
Yes.
That they had to put tape over the parts that were not allowed to be shown during the day.
And did I see right? Was there part of Artist Alley that like you had to be ID'd to go into?
No.
Age?
No. So that what you're thinking of, there was part of the floor at the back of Artist Alley that was set up as a blood drive.
Oh, okay.
Which was actually kind of cool. So like, every convention does try to do their own thing to make them unique, and giving back to the community is always a nice way to see them do that. And for AnimeFest, this year they actually had a blood drive set up. I think, if I remember correctly, I think they've done it before, but this time they actually had a lot of space dedicated to it, so it was easier to get to, it was easier to find, and it could actually accommodate several people going at a time so that people could keep moving and not dramatically interrupt their convention going experience.
Gotcha. Okay.
So it made it really easy.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. Trying to think what else. So their gaming setup was a little bit different.
Yeah, so that was another thing about AnimeFest this year. They've always done some kind of game section, but they actually had a full part of the convention dedicated to games as its own, technically, convention.
Up on the 37th floor.
Well, so you had the 4th floor, and then the 36 and 37? 37,
Yes.
38? One of the two.
Too high off the damn ground floor.
Mike has issues with height.
Height or heights?
Both.
Yeah, I am under 6 foot, aren't I? Anyway.
I mean, I think you'd be a little, feel a bit inferior if LeBron James came walking up to you and just stared down at you.
No, I'd punch him in the throat.
Shaq?
Yeah, no, he'd break me in half.
Anyway,
Anyway.
yeah, so, no, AnimeFest had GameFest that was also attached.
Right.
And
it was tabletops, it was board games,
it was video
games,
games, and
which I still, one of these days,
and there was technically interactive comics. Oh, sorry, interactive manga.
right.
Yes.
One of these days we are going to go to a convention that has Super Smash Brothers,
That you actually get to play it.
and we're gonna stream it, and I'm going to work everybody.
Freezing?
Eh.
Fair.
If they're under 18, then yes, freezing. No, wait, over 8. Wait.
Ah. Anyway. So, yeah,
Again, crazy and weird.
Yeah.
New viewers.
yeah. So what else did we have? So let's just go ahead and cover GameFest first, because GameFest is going to be the easiest to touch on everything, and
Right.
then we'll go on to the bulk of everything for AnimeFest.
So, I mean, they had their standard tournaments for their fighters and that kind of stuff.
Yeah. So the fourth floor, you had the arcade setup,
Right.
which was just all the consoles everywhere, with all these different types of games. You had Rock Band, obviously you said Smash.
Yep.
There were
King of
several
Fighters, Tekken, Street Fighter. They had stuff all the way back to like original Xbox and PS2.
Yeah.
Up
Which
to
was kinda
obviously
cool.
Smash Brothers Ultimate on the Switch,
Yeah.
Rock Band on the Xbox One.
It's pretty cool.
Or no, it was PS4. But yeah, like they were kind of all over the place in terms of like what games they had set up. They had Gears.
Yeah.
Gears of War set up. They had Resident Evil 5 set up, so
Yep.
that you could co-op that. Like there was a pretty good selection of different games, which was
Yep.
pretty cool.
Then for their tabletop section, they had a miniature painting section.
Mhm.
They had D&D. They had Pathfinder. They had Starfinder or Starlight something.
Right.
Yeah, they had several tabletop RPGs to choose from. They had they had Warhammer and a couple of
They were talking
tabletop
about
war games.
Yeah, I was
to
about to
choose
say,
from,
yeah,
but
war
those
games.
weren't as frequent. They had a bit more spread out sessions for that. But yeah,
Like they legit had a giant room set up of just nothing but tables,
yes,
where it was like every table had a different game going on, and I was like, holy crap, that's kind of dope.
yeah, and even their miniature painting section, they
Yeah.
had like an entire room dedicated
To
to
painting
that.
figures, for
And they
your
even had
RPGs
like
and
the
everything like that.
pre-provided figures, so you didn't have to bring your own.
Right.
They had the paint, they
That
had
was
the
pretty
figures,
dope.
they had pretty much everything that you needed to be able to get into wargaming, and from there, just kind of see what you could do with it.
Yeah, it was literally just like, hey, give me your badge, we'll scan it. Cool, so you came in, here's your figure, whichever one you want, here's your paint set, go do your thing.
Which was really awesome, honestly. Like there is so much about that is nice to see.
Right.
So yeah, no, I'm all for that.
That was pretty cool. Yeah, that was a pretty cool little touch that they threw on. And it's funny, the dude that was actually running it saw us at the thing we did at
The DMA.
Yeah, the DMA. What was it, the
Star Trek.
yeah, what's the program called?
Oh,
Second Thursday with a twist or something like
yes,
that? Yeah.
Second Thursday with a twist.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, that's cool.
Yeah, he was like, oh, you were the guys that were at the DMA. He's like, yeah, we were in the full. I was like, holy crap, that's cool.
Yeah. Like, it's nice to be recognized, what little we get recognized, So
by people that aren't our friends.
Yes. Oh yeah. No, that helps. Although I actually did once he started saying what he was dressed as at that thing, I did recognize him because he was one of the few in that particular variation of the Starfleet uniform.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, it was really cool.
Yeah. No, that was pretty dope. That was kind of one of those where it was like, people know who we are.
Yeah.
Like we're doing something right? Question mark.
Yeah. So then the rest of the actual tabletop gaming, that's where the board games were. Up on the top floor, you had...
Too high off the damn ground.
So when you got off the elevator, you went out and there were all of the board games that you had to choose from in their personal library. You could bring your own if you wanted to, but they had some that you could rent out for a lot of different options.
You guys just want to play this? Cool. Here you go.
And then you went into the ballroom, which actually had so many tables available. Although when we went up there, there weren't a lot of people playing at the time. But we did kind of get in there a bit early because...
Yeah, I was about to say, because we
went there Sunday, early Sunday.
And we made a conscious effort to get up there as soon as possible, because if we didn't, we were like, we're going to get sucked up into doing something that day, and we're not going to get a chance.
More than that, the floors that the tabletop portion was being held on, the only elevator that you could use to get up to it was also the main set of elevators that everybody was using. So to try to get on them, you typically had to wait a solid 30 to 40 minutes to even get on the elevator once the day really got going.
Right.
So it didn't really give you much of a chance to be able to get up there past the beginning of the day easily. Right. And since we didn't want to spend so long trying to get through just an elevator to get up there and then miss out on everything else downstairs, we kind of had to go up early.
Right.
But
it was
I'm
cool
sure
it kind of gave us free reign to walk around and kind of like talk to people and do that kind of stuff. Which was
and cool. I mean, I'm sure that there were a lot of people that were going up there during the days that were willing to wait because it did always seem like a lot of people were going up. Right. So hopefully that actually did get enough attention, because it is always nice to be able to see more people getting into tabletop gaming at these conventions. It's a nice break from the norm at most of these things.
Well, and also because tabletop too is a really good way to kind of interact with people. Yeah. Like it's a good, like people don't really think of it, but it is like it's a very cool way to be social with people, like to gather and actually like interact in person
and meet somebody new, because it's really easy to go, hey, I want to play this game, but I don't really have anybody that I'm here with. Hey, you want to play this game too? Hey, you want to go play? So yeah,
we need to find a D&D group.
Docs is an easy place to start.
I really want to start playing D&D.
Me too, actually. I've been on a bit of a D&D kick on YouTube, watching so much D&D stuff.
Enough of our friends play it. Like I feel like they can come with us and kind of shepherd us through.
Yeah.
And then
it's a bit ridiculous.
Anybody that's watching, if you guys want to play D&D with us or start a D&D group, we need, I guess, a dungeon master is what they call
somebody
them.
that actually knows the game, so that we're not just figuring it out.
Word.
But yeah.
You know,
Dungeon Master, DM, GM.
I have the Stranger Things Dungeons and Dragons set.
Like the Dungeons and Dragons set from the show?
Yeah.
Or the one about the show?
The one about the show.
Okay.
Yeah. Because I have to have everything Stranger Things.
Of course you do. So then, back to the actual AnimeFest.
Please.
So what would you say was your biggest highlight from AnimeFest proper?
What counts as AnimeFest proper? Because apparently this shit goes on till like 3 o'clock in the morning.
Something actually sponsored by the convention. We'll get into the after-hour stuff that we did at the convention, but not necessarily with the convention later. So, at the convention itself, what was your favorite bit?
I wouldn't say it's my favorite, but the only bit that we did was when we painted me up like an emo kid.
By bit, I meant what part, not like bit.
Okay. I don't know. So, like, that's just it. That entire weekend is such a blur because we were running around doing so damn much. Like,
Kyla.
I don't really remember.
Hey, if you want to learn to DM, we're cool with that. We're cool with that, Kyla.
Like,
but I mean, you know,
I don't really totally remember anything. What was yours?
Oh, it's a hard one. Because I mean, even this year compared to last year, my experience at AnimeFest was wildly different.
Yeah.
Like last year, because I was trying to experience everything,
Yeah.
I got to be involved with so many things.
Right.
This year, it was fewer things, but more of each. I mean, yeah, I'd say there was a lot of like the people that we got to talk to there were really awesome.
Yeah.
So one of the interviews that we tried to get, but we already knew it was going to be a long shot, was Leon.
Yeah.
Because he was like the featured cosplayer there.
Right.
I mean, technically there were others, but he was the featured cosplayer. You know, the featured international guest for cosplay, and like his lines never slow down. And we were hoping that we could like for one of his breaks actually be able to get over and talk to him and hang out for a bit, maybe actually interview him. But sadly, that wasn't able to happen. He was too all over the place. But we did actually get to talk to and hang out for a bit with a cosplayer that was there with him, Elizabeth Rage, who flew in from LA. And for those of you who have not heard of Elizabeth Rage, she was very humble about how big she is online.
Yeah.
And I mean, yeah, she doesn't have like Jessica Negri numbers, but I'd say that she's a solid mid-tier cosplayer.
Yeah.
Or upper mid-tier. But what makes her different from a lot of the others is that she, on top of her cosplay, uses her cosplay in her acting.
Right.
Well, she does a lot of indie work, and actually right now, I believe they still have a GoFundMe going on for an indie Ninja Turtles movie that they are trying to put together, where she is April, and the teaser that they put out for it looked pretty cool.
Yeah.
And I mean, she does a lot of really good stuff. She sings, she acts, she does musical theater, which obviously, if you're doing both of those other things, that would make sense.
Yeah.
And she just does so much, and on top of just the modeling that she does, which she does cosplay and regular modeling, and she is just such a nice and awesome person.
So she was super sweet.
Yeah.
Really cool. Like when we kind of got a second to talk to her, she was like, "Yeah, let's do something."
Yeah.
Like she jumped on camera right then and there. The best part about that entire thing, though, and it's a shame that she's not watching this right now because I'm about to totally put her on blast. Actually, let me message her real quick.
Can I keep talking?
Are you gonna put her in? So our friend, I use that term very loosely. What? What? What did you do?
Push the wrong button.
Yeah.
Yes, I will always snort derisively when you say that, considering how much we hang out with her. The her we're talking about is Charlotte, also known as B Charlotte D cosplay. Awesome, but she had a bit of a fangirl moment with Elizabeth Rage.
It was quite possibly the most adorable thing I've ever seen. Hang on 2 seconds, let me...
Seriously?
Yeah.
You know we're live, right?
Yeah, you can fix it in post. That's how that works, right?
No, we're live. There is no post.
Okay, it's fine. So she
Wow.
told us that, like, oh my god, this person's here, and I'm such a huge fan, and everything like that. I'm like, oh, you mean the person we're about to go interview? Like, you want to come hang out with us? And she was like, like, she was to the point of tears. It was hilarious.
It was honestly sweet.
She's like, I want to go talk to her, and I don't know. I was like, you just want me to walk over there with you and introduce you? Because I just talked to Elizabeth for like 5 minutes before we interviewed her, so I'm sure I could just walk up and just be like, hey, so this is a friend of ours. And she's like, no, will you go up there with me? I was like, I just said I would! And literally, like a kid being taken to their first day of kindergarten, I was like, give me your hand, let's go up there. Like, hey, this is our friend, she wants to talk to you because she's a big fan. And then just melt.
And we do actually have some behind-the-scenes footage of the two of them talking. It really was amazing. And yeah, I mean, Elizabeth was really super sweet to let us keep going for a bit, because I mean, she seemed like she was all about talking with us and whatever.
Yeah.
But I mean, even though she wasn't like a previously listed guest, she did have some people that were wanting to come and to get her autograph and everything, and that was awesome.
But she like
she was really great.
Yeah,
with us.
I was about to say, like, she was like, no, like, you guys are awesome, like, I want to talk to y'all, and like, she probably spent like 20 or 30 minutes just talking to us after we interviewed her.
Yep. Which, by the way, the interview that we did with Elizabeth will be coming out Tuesday.
Is the behind the scenes of Charlotte freaking out going to be attached to it?
I'm wanting it to be.
Okay, good.
Assuming I can get it all done in time. But yeah.
Cool. But yeah, that was actually a really cool moment, because that was like, I was like, we got to talk to somebody cool.
Yeah.
That was really sweet, and then we we get to embarrass our friend.
Anyway, but yeah, no. So other than that, we did get to run into some other. I got to run into some other friends of ours. You weren't there at the time. Down in Artist Alley.
Yeah.
Got to run into Pixel Moon Studios.
Although I did run into her Saturday.
You ran into her for a second.
They were literally leaving as I was coming to. As I was getting there.
But no, so I got to actually go over there and hang out with her for a little bit. And while I was talking to her, Brian from Photo Persuasion, him and his wife showed up, and we were all hanging out talking for a bit, and that was amazing. Which, by the way, once again, if you've not heard of Photo Persuasion, amazing cosplay photographer here in the Dallas area, does some really awesome portrait work, like studio portrait work and creative, like fine art stuff. Really amazing. Actually recently did this awesome aerial silks shoot that just looks incredible, and it was actually, I think, done at his home studio with like just this really crazy jerry-rigged setup that worked out in such a tiny space, but you can't tell in the pictures. They look amazing.
Nice. Okay.
So yeah, I'll show you that later. It's pretty cool. And then of course, yes, as Kyla points out,
the gender bent
Scarlet Muse cosplay, aka Erica Muse, and Chris, that guy from that con.
Which is still like one of the best names ever.
It really is. Sunday, they were part of this Disney cosplay group where they were the guys did all this gender bent Disney princess stuff.
Yep.
And so he was Ariel. And you had some other guys that was, there was a very heavily bearded dude that was Merida.
We've interviewed him before, and I can never remember his name.
Did we?
Yeah.
When?
God, keep talking.
Anyway, there was Princess Jasmine. There was Jane from Tarzan. There were a lot of them.
It was literally
Snow White, I think?
Yeah, it was like I want to say it was probably a group of like 30 people.
Yeah, like there were so many guys that came dressed as Disney princesses, and some of the girls were dressed as the princes. Erica Muse was dressed up as Prince Eric, which was just awesome. especially the way that she kept talking about how she felt very empowered by dressing like a dude and be able to walk around all day and, you know, act like a dude. And she's like, at one point she said, you know, there's something just so liberating about going around and having to grab your crotch to adjust, that in like nobody second guesses what you're doing. That it's just, it's very, oh, and I'm like, yeah, no,
You're taking this a little too serious, Eric.
It's kind of awesome, but yeah, at the same time, Chris was just looking at her going, wow. Just wow.
Basically.
Which is awesome, because Erica is fantastic.
Yeah, I can't find him, but we've interviewed him before.
Was it in one of the compilations that we did for one of the conventions?
I think so.
Okay.
So.
For those, we've talked to a lot of people.
And he was actually in my store the Saturday before I went there.
Okay.
Because Saturday, him and I think it was his son did the Road Warriors.
Oh, yeah. Like American Dad, Ameridad. Cosplay. Yeah. Okay. Yes. No, there was just some awesome stuff that was there. Some really great people. So we didn't get a chance to be able to see too much of it, but last year I did, which you got to see quite a bit of in our convention video. But all throughout the weekend, there were so many cosplay meetups going on, literally all over the place, for photo shoots and special events and just so much awesome stuff. And to be able to see all these cosplayers that met up because of Reddit groups or Facebook groups, specifically because of the cosplay that they were wearing that day to do something together, that is really awesome, because you don't get to see too much of that at most other conventions. That's not like pre-planned with like a set group of friends. Like this is literally just a lot of random people showing up for this specific theme of cosplay, and they're just all there. It could be 10 people, it could be 40 or 50, and some of them it did get up there. So that is honestly such a cool thing to be able to see, especially if you're not a cosplayer, and to be able to see all of those people just swarm a spot to hang out and do all that stuff. That's really cool.
Yeah, that was pretty dope. Like it was like there was literally times we're walking past people that are like, oh, let's get together and do this, let's get together and do that. Like literally on the spot exchanging like information. This is my Twitter, this is my Facebook. Like I'm just kind of like, whoa. Like I guess the sense of community was like super high there. Like,
which is honestly, that's kind of a theme for AnimeFest in general, is compared to so many of the other conventions, there is such a massive sense of community. Like conventions like Fan Expo, for example, you'll have pockets of community around that either are pre-planned or spontaneously pop up, but it is sporadic. AnimeFest, that's most of the convention, is just community. Like, you don't have a lot of pre-planned panels per se, like Q&A panel style stuff, but there are pre-planned panel events, like the Maid Cafe and K-pop dance lessons and cosplay building lessons, and all these things that it's all about the people that are getting together to do things within a specific theme because they love this thing. Like it's amazing and awesome to see, and when you get to participate in it, it's so cool. Like I don't remember, but I think like last year, I think this year there was a karaoke thing that happened at one point during the convention.
I think we just ended up missing it, but
there were at least a couple of raves that happened at night, and one ball that happened for, you know, a more refined cosplay dress.
So Saturday night,
before we get to that, and before we get too far off the track of cosplay, there is one thing that we do need to point out, because it's a little difficult to not talk about it when you're talking about this year's AnimeFest.
Yeah.
There was a little bit of a controversy around cosplay, in that traditionally, so the convention is held at the Sheraton,
Right.
in the hotel and the convention center.
Right.
And because the conventions, right there where the convention center and the hotel meet, there is a connection to the Sky Bridge that goes over to the Plaza of the Americas.
Right.
And so you have a lot of people that will always go over to the plaza to get food and do a lot of stuff, just hang out.
On Sunday,
and because the Sky Bridge is there, and while it's not exactly well air conditioned, it's still better than being outside for the heat of the day.
Right.
So you have a lot of people that show up and do a lot of like cosplay pictures and stuff in the Sky Bridge.
Right.
The thing is, though, the Sky Bridge is owned by the Plaza and Marriott.
Right.
And for whatever reason, this year, Marriott took a bit of an issue with people stopping and taking pictures in the Sky Bridge and creating a lot of traffic in there.
Right.
So they put a just complete ban on photography in the Sky Bridge.
Yep.
Unless you were, one, credited press with the convention, and two,
Yep.
you had to have liability
Ability,
license or liability insurance as a photographer. If you did not meet both of those stipulations, you were promptly kicked out by security.
Mm-hmm.
Now, obviously, photography in the plaza has always been banned because it's treated in the same way that a mall is treated. After 9/11, big public spaces like that,
Yeah.
photography is not allowed because there's critical infrastructure there
Right.
that is a legitimate safety concern.
Right.
And so they don't want to take the chance that, while yes, you look like you're taking modeling photos or whatever, then you're actually doing something else.
Right.
Fine. But those signs have always been up, that's always been understood. The Sky Bridge, however, has always been fair game until this year,
Right.
and unfortunately that wasn't well
Conversed.
put out there.
Yeah.
The convention did post it on their Facebook a bit late, but it happened. Unfortunately, it wasn't until after a couple of photographers were kicked out
Right.
by the Marriott,
Right.
and it didn't go over well.
No.
It had nothing to do with the convention. It had nothing to do with anything that the Sheraton did or the people that run AnimeFest or GameFest did. And honestly, the people in charge of AnimeFest did as much as they could to try to mitigate the problems with this.
Yeah.
Once they found out, while there was a little bit of slow start to responding, they did try as much as they could to reach out to photographers that were credited press to let them know and try to get them
Right.
set up. They did try to reach out to the Marriott and smooth things over. That didn't stop certain photographers from having issues with
Right.
this and being very public about their issues.
Yep.
But it was a thing that happened this year, and you were still allowed to take pictures outside under the Sky Bridge.
Right.
You were still allowed to take pictures everywhere inside the Sheraton and the convention hall. You were still allowed to take pictures anywhere, even outside on Marriott and Plaza property.
Yeah.
If you were outside.
Yeah.
But the Sky Bridge and inside
Were
the
off
plaza
limits.
were just off limits.
Yep.
And because that was a change from the norm, it didn't go over well with some people.
Yeah.
I don't think we're ever going to blame the convention for that because they couldn't have predicted this.
Yeah. No.
And while it sucks, it's honestly, it's not terrible.
No.
And if we're being totally honest, there were still plenty of people that got pictures in the Sky Bridge when security wasn't around, and it didn't end up being that big of a thing, honestly. It was
Yeah.
just a big thing in certain moments.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, we couldn't really go through this conversation without at least talking about that.
Acknowledging it.
Like,
Correct.
it was too big of a deal to go without saying it.
Right.
So yeah, That's a thing.
With some stuff.
Anyway.
Moving on.
Yeah, so, the after hours bit of the convention. The stuff that wasn't official convention activities. Mike?
I didn't make it for this stuff.
Last year. You made it for this year.
I made it for this year, but I didn't make it very late.
Well, neither of us did, really. But a lot of things happened. And there was some stuff that Franco filled me in on that you missed out on, too.
Damn it.
Things that you absolutely would have been all about.
Like what?
So, a lot of weird things happen after hours at AnimeFest. Some wonderfully weird things. So, a friend of ours, Franco Cosplay, if you ever end up seeing this, hey Franco, he was saying that at like, I think he said it was like 3 or 4 in the morning, there was a shower cult that was roaming around the hotel, randomly barging into certain rooms for like convention attendees, and like going in and like, what was it? I think it was like tossing soap at people, and then like invading people's bathrooms when nobody was actually doing anything in there, but like cornering people in there, tossing soap at them, and then like randomly chanting while wearing like shower stuff on them, and it was, he had a video of it, and it was oh dude,
this sounds beautiful.
Oh dude.
This sounds absolutely beautiful.
It really does, and honestly,
this sounds very much like something that needs to be packaged with our public service announcement that we made that Saturday. Which have you set that up to be broadcast yet?
Yeah, it will.
Okay.
But oh my gosh,
you guys will know what we're talking about when you see it.
Oh my gosh.
It's funny.
Like the things that will happen at this convention are just incredible.
Yeah, there was a rave, or I'm sorry, they don't call it a rave, but
no, they did.
Oh, did they call it a rave?
Yeah, okay. For the Friday, Saturday.
So we're hanging out with our little group that we run with, generally speaking. Oh.
So like,
yeah,
we'll say 10 minutes.
Yeah, so we're running around with our little group that we generally run around with at these things. There was an impromptu wrestling match in the hotel room.
You got your ass kicked by a girl.
I did not get my ass kicked by a girl. I had her up off the... I could have broken her back if I wanted to.
All she had to do was shift her arm over, and she would have gone into a full chokehold on you.
No, because she had it on the chin. I had pressed it down so that she couldn't get to the throat. And that's when I picked her up and I was like, resist urge to break 85-pound girl.
Yeah, I think Lars would disagree with your assessment of the situation.
Yeah, well,
but
she's
okay.
not here, so to hell with her.
Wow. We're gonna see her again, and eventually
next time do you want me to drop her over the knee? Like, do you want me to just go knees up into the center of her back?
For some reason, I feel like the phrasing of putting her over the knee is not the best idea.
Yeah. That's just
sorry, Lars. Anyway.
But yeah, so that happened. We also made a very, very, very nice public service announcement about people needing to... Well, you'll see that later.
Seriously, especially at these 24-hour conventions, there is no excuse to not bathe.
You have your own room, damn it. Use it.
There's a shower in every room.
Use it. Anyway.
They even provide soap and body wash.
Use it.
Anyway.
But yes, after a good amount of adult beverages, we shall call them,
there was a lot of stuff and things that happened around the hotel where we were going around maybe a little loudly.
Maybe a little under the influence. Anyway.
There was a lot of stuff that happened that was, I believe the exact term is, childish and ridiculous.
Well, I was gonna say jackassery, but yeah, we can go with yours too.
Oh, not quite jackassery. There weren't any injuries incurred.
That's fair. That's fair.
Nobody went full Johnny Knoxville.
Although I'm sure if we'd have kept going.
Oh, probably.
But yeah, to give you guys an idea.
And there will be a full video of the things that we did after hours, by the way, just like we did last year. And this year's after
hopefully
hours
heavily
was
censored.
This year's after hours was very different from last year's after hours. There was no stop and interview, a lot of really random questions that you can't say during the day. This was a lot of just everything.
Yes. But to give you an idea, yeah. So after several hours of running around, and I would call it jackassery, you would call it something different.
Sure.
It turned into, hey, so we need to go get ready for the rave. Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, what time's that start? Well, it's gonna start at 11 and go till like 3 a.m.
Yeah, we weren't gonna be able to hang out like that.
Yeah, I'm over 30. I ain't about that life anymore.
And I got a kid, and I need at least a couple hours of sleep.
And we were both there at 9 o'clock the next morning.
Yep. And I actually had to be able to get some of editing done for our show, so that was the thing.
Yeah, we peace outed there. We heard a lot of great stories about what happened that night, though.
Yeah.
Several people that we run with went until 3 and 4 o'clock in the morning, and then went up, got like 2 or 3 hours of sleep. Sounds awful.
Oh, absolutely awful.
The other thing that was the big deal was the bit that we decided on, which I still don't know how I'm the one that always gets sucked into this crap.
Because you volunteer.
I don't volunteer. I was literally told this is what's going to happen. And then you guys just made it progressively worse throughout the day.
You're forgetting how this all originated. I said, hey, I have an idea to do at a convention. This was several weeks ago. And I told you about it, and you said, oh my gosh, yes, we must do this.
What was the idea?
That we needed to have a bit where, as the convention went on throughout the day, you got progressively more emo.
Right.
Until the end of the day, you were full emo, like... nails, skyliner, and all.
Okay, first of all...
You did object to the guyliner.
First of all, yes, I did object to that shit.
And then...
And what happened?
You got literally...
Not by my choice. It was literally, oh, here, hold still. And then it turned into, oh, wait, no, yeah, that's not thick enough. Let's go ahead and throw some mascara on there.
And then, But you did say, yes, that would be amazing. And so then when this convention came up, I said, we need to do it at this convention.
Right.
And you said... Okay.
We only discussed painting my nails, though.
And the clothing and the whole,
Well, that's because that's how I dress.
But then when it was initially going to be Lars doing your makeup, you said fine. And then Lars got sick
and went home.
Unfortunately, because not all food near downtown is what you want to eat.
No.
And then, things happened. So Charlotte took over.
Which I still have... high objections to.
Well, you went through with it. So anyway,
not my choice.
But yeah, we could honestly go on and on about this forever, but we are definitely running short on time. So, we will go ahead...
Oh, there's a tiny human that just woke up.
Yes, it is.
That's why we're running short on time.
Yes. So, there will be plenty more videos from this convention coming out in the weeks and months to come, because honestly, between AnimeFest, the Let's Play Gaming Expo, and Galactic Swag Expo,
yes, there's a lot.
We have a lot of videos to be putting out, a lot of amazing stuff, a lot of amazing people that we got to work with, and so you guys need to hang on and check out all of that as it comes. Once again, we have new videos that come out every Tuesday and Friday, and live streams every few Saturdays, at least 2 to 3 a month. In fact, next weekend in particular, we are doing a very special recording.
That's what I was just about to say.
At the Dallas Public Library. We will not be going live, because unfortunately it's still a library, and internet speeds there are what you would expect for a library. But we will be recording it in front of a live studio audience. And
which, if anybody wants to go,
we'll be posting it first thing Sunday.
If anybody wants to go and hang out with us, you guys are more than welcome to.
So we will start at 5 p.m. at the downtown branch of the Dallas Library for their grand opening of their creative spaces. This is a section sections of the library that have now been dedicated to creators that want to be able to make things that they love but do not have the equipment or the space.
Right.
So there is one floor. The third floor is going to be all about podcasting, where they will actually have a full podcast set up with a Mac, a full table of 4 microphones, switchboard, and everything set up for you to use. There's going to be a section for green screen. There's going to be a section for just open recording. There's even going to be space for writing and script making. There's going to be another floor that's going to be all about fiber arts for sewing, weaving, stitching, embroidering, basically a cosplayer's dream.
Yeah.
And then the last section is going to be for genealogy, which is just a general interest that I'm sure a lot of people are going to be wanting to go check out and participate in. But so we will be there. This event's going to be going on from 2 till I believe 7 on Saturday.
We go on at 5.
So go check out all of it, but definitely come check out us at 5.
I was about to say, come see us.
And so we're actually going to be interviewing during that some of the librarians there, talking about this whole new setup, what they want to do with it, and all the other awesome live events that actually are there for free at the library.
And they apparently like us.
Yeah, we have some new fans there, so that's kind of awesome.
Sure.
And in the meantime, don't forget, if this is the first time that you have checked us out, don't forget to like us on Facebook, like and subscribe on YouTube, which of course, YouTube is here.
No.
Right here. Don't forget to subscribe. And of course, if you like our stuff but don't always have time to check out the videos, you can find the audio of all the stuff that we do on Spotify, iHeartRadio, iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, and
Tinder.
Oh, and of course, our website.
We have a website?
Yes.
Huh.
So,
learned something new today.
Don't forget to check us out there as well. We always appreciate every one of you that checks out our stuff, enjoys it, and especially when you share our videos with your friends, because we really enjoy getting out in front of more people and sharing all this great nerdy stuff with as many people as we can. So, until next time, this is Brad and Mike with Dallas Geek saying, see ya. And we are out.